There she is. Okay, hold
Yeah,
on. Let's add to the
there
stream.
is. We are live. Awesome. So it's a new adjustment
Awesome.
for today. I am actually on
Absolutely.
mobile. We're doing something new and different. Thank you guys for your patience. Thank you for those who are joining us for Lunch and Learn every Tuesday and every Thursday at 12 noon. We apologize for the late start, but we're playing with our technology. And as you can see, I am actually broadcasting from my car. I promise you I'm watching the road, but we are broadcasting a little bit differently today than what we normally do.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I am actually trying to add our wonderful Nicole Williams
Thank you,
to the
Adina and
stream.
LaQuita.
Okay.
I had a little
She's going to join us in just a
traveling
second.
trouble.
Hi, Nicole.
Hi there. Can you guys hear me?
Okay. Yes, we can hear you. We can see you. How are you?
Wonderful. Wonderful. Oh, I feel like I've been through
Thank you so much for
hole.
joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
I can't hear her, Adina. Nicole, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine, Adina and LaQuita. I can hear you both.
Okay, perfect. Perfect.
Okay.
Well, since I am playing around, LaQuita, should I make any adjustments on the display?
No, the display looks great. I think I may be the one having audio issues since I'm the one in the car. I don't know if my am I coming through loud and clear, or is it buffering?
Yes. Yes, you are. You are.
It is buffering.
It is.
Okay. I could hear you pretty well.
Okay. So what I'm going to do,
okay, well now, okay.
Yeah, I think since I'm the one with the bad connection, I'm going to go ahead and bow out of this one so that you guys can continue on with the show. And
Okay.
I will be back with you guys next Thursday.
Well, perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much. And we look forward to having you back on Thursday.
Yes.
And thanks so much for y'all tuning in. We appreciate it. I wanted to take a moment to be able to introduce our very special guest, who is Nicole Williams. She is a realtor here in the DFW area. And we thought that this would be a wonderful time for people to be able to tune in and kind of understand what's going on with the residential and also commercial markets. Again, we are both based out of Metro DFW. However, Nicole may be able to give us a little bit of information in reference to what's going on across the country. And so, Nicole, if you wouldn't mind, if you would just kind of give our viewers the opportunity to be able to get to know you a little bit better, if you wouldn't mind just doing a brief intro of yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much, Adina. I had the pleasure of meeting Adina recently on one of our Williams agency hosted town halls on COVID-19 and how are we responding in real estate. So it's great to be on your show. And I apologize for my tardiness in landing into your page, but it's good to be here. Real estate is extremely exciting, my friends. It is May 2020. And the world has just reopened. So what we're finding is everything that happens in our normal May is starting to happen right now. We are back in business. We are seeing multiple offers. We're seeing offers over list price again. So consumer confidence is here right now. So if you're in the market to buy or sell a home, just as we would normally tell you in any other year, if you're a buyer, roll up your sleeves because it is highly competitive in many markets right now. In the Frisco market just this weekend, I had an out-of-town buyer looking for property in the 75035 and 75034 zip codes, even in parts of McKinney. And I got to tell you, the competition was stiff. It was pouring raining Saturday and we were showing property and there were tons of people out there. So I just want you to know that our market is strong here in DFW and that we are seeing a rapid increase. I think it was just this pent up demand when we were shut down for a long time. So real estate is strong, and we're happy to help you. Sellers, if you're in the market, now's the time to get your house listed. We're seeing in many locations a seller's market. So great time to be in the market. Well, the Williams Agency is a residential and a commercial real estate brokerage firm. We are a very boutique, or meaning small, customer-friendly, hands-on approach. Loving on our clients and love giving you individualized attention. We're boutique brokerage based in Plano, Texas. We help buyers and sellers both, and those who are leasing and or purchasing commercial and or residential real estate. I am the brokerage owner of that company. I have some phenomenal agents working with me and a new budding assistant who's coming on board to join me. I'm so excited about her. And we just love helping people realize their dreams and maximize their wealth building potential through real estate.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Nicole, again, for taking time to be able to speak with us. We did have a few questions that we wanted to go ahead and ask of you, and you've actually kind of answered. One of the first questions was, well, how is the market, especially for buyers and sellers here?
Yes.
Although we are physically located in DFW, a lot of our viewers are in Texas. Throughout Texas, and then there are also some that are located outside of Texas. Would you be able to speak a little bit more in detail in reference to just the general market overall in Texas?
Yeah, the general market overall in Texas is strong. You know, Texas is always strong. We've never been that California market, that Detroit market, that Vegas market that kind of experienced that overinflation and then, of course, that huge market correction. We're just not that market. Our gains are maybe not as aggressive overall as we see in some of those other markets. And so our fall is not as high, as deep either. So you could expect in Texas markets a steady, average 2 to 3% gain on your investment every year. And I say investment because even if you're just living in your home, it is an investment. It is your investment. You're paying into it every month, and it's giving you money back through appreciation and market value. So it is an investment, and it's strong, 2 to 3% steady easily. And in many areas of our DFW marketplace, we're seeing 10 to 15% gains too. So it just depends on where you're talking about. And we're happy to customize a strategy for each consumer that we get to work with.
Awesome. And so one of the things that I wanted to before we get a little bit deeper into some of the other components of real estate, sometimes people only think of real estate as being a realtor or potentially a real estate broker. Would you actually give us just a little bit of information in reference to the different types of careers that may be available through real estate? And then also if there may be any particular shortages that may be going on within the state of Texas?
Great questions, Adina. And yes, we think of real estate, we think of agents all the time. And in fact, it's much more than that. Real estate involves those who inspect the homes. So if you're purchasing a home, usually a home is one of the most expensive investments most people will make in their lifetime. You want to get somebody to, quote unquote, look under the hood. And that is a licensed real estate inspector. They will look at such things as your heating, your plumbing, your air conditioning, your systems, your structure. That means your roof and your foundation. They'll even take a look at, some of the history of the home in terms of when it was built and who was the builder and what are the codes of that particular community, so that home is truly one that meets all of the standards of that consumer, or at least the consumer will have enough information to make an informed further purchase of that particular home. In addition to inspections, most consumers do not pay cash for their real estate. They leverage their assets by taking out loans. And so for those who want to be a part of providing the money for real estate, we have real estate loan officers or loan officers who provide the money. In addition to that, before the transaction closes, if you're using other people's money, you've got to make that lien holder, that bank, that mortgage company is going to want to make sure that what you're agreed to pay that seller for the home, if you're the buyer, is really what the home is worth. So a licensed appraiser Appraisal is another element of real estate. Where are we seeing the shortages among appraisers, lenders, inspectors, and realtors is appraisers. We can never have enough of those. In fact, I'm having a tough time now because the market is so hot again, I'm having a tough time getting an inspector in a timely manner. So there are real opportunities if you want to become a real estate inspector or a real estate appraiser. We are seeing shortages in those areas.
Okay,
And if I
and
could give
then
a
would
training school for
for
Champion
people.
School of Real Estate, I'd love to do that too. So if you need your
Okay,
education or where to get how to become a licensed real estate broker, agent, inspector, appraiser, or lender, Champion School of Real Estate can help you out.
Awesome. And so, and again, even for some of our out-of-state viewers, pretty much what you could do is you could go ahead and contact your local real estate school that may be in your area, and then they would actually be able to provide you with some additional information regarding some of the curriculums that would be available
Absolutely.
for those particular
Yes,
positions and
yes,
careers.
yes. And Champions is a nationwide company, by the way, as well. I'm a little shameless in my plug because I get to also work as a real estate educator for them. So shameless plug. I did it. I'm sorry.
Perfect. No. The people need to know. So, so that is actually wonderful to know. And we also know too, one of the things that LaQuita and I have been speaking about is that, of course, all of us are going to need to develop multiple streams of income. And the thing is that because the home inspections as well as the home appraisers are always going to be in high demand.
Yes.
It's not going to be something that's going to go away anytime soon, both on the residential and also on the commercial side.
Yes.
So for commercial buildings, if you think about office spaces, if you think about shopping centers, you think about any other types of commercial properties that are used for business, then there's always going to be a high demand and a high need for that, whether it's for someone who's buying or for someone who's selling. So you just want to be able to keep that in mind. And that could also be very lucrative for people who may want to do that on a part-time basis. So you may want to consider that as a potential other stream of income. And again, you may just want to go ahead and reach out to Nicole directly, and we'll give her the opportunity to share her contact information with us before we end the broadcast, so you can know about that.
Yes.
As well as if you are outside of Texas, then you can also go ahead and look into other real estate schools as well that'll be able to give you some information regarding the requirements.
Yes.
Yes. Perfect. So Nicole, let's say that we have buyers that may be interested in buying a home. Maybe they have previously owned a home, or they're going to be first-time buyers. What would you like to tell our audience about any new changes that may have happened in reference to current lending requirements, down payments, or even being able to have a certain amount of cash reserves that they may need to know about before they go for the lending process?
Okay. Yeah, we're seeing in the lending market now, and I just would like to kind of back up. If you've never owned a home, or if you've owned a home before, you're going to be need to be well prepared. And by well prepared, I mean you're going to want to gather your tax returns for the last 2 years. You're going to want to see your W-2s or some proof of income to be presented to your banker, your lender. Usually about 2 to 3 months worth of income, proof of income is going to be important. A driver's license, your social security card. Those are some of the basic things that you need to have gathered right now before you move forward in speaking with the lender, so that you can get pre-approved for a loan. And again, the very first step to buying a home is to become pre-approved. How disheartening is it to go shopping for a home and figure out you cannot afford what you have fallen in love with? That's not a good feeling for your realtor. And it certainly isn't a good feeling for you when you, are feeling heartbreak, and you'll never see what you're looking for again. If you start pricing too high or start looking too high for your budget, that doesn't work out well for anybody. And so our goal is to really help you and coach you to success. That's what we're about, making you successful in finding the home of your dreams that fits within your budget. Okay, so enough of my soapbox about getting pre-approved before you go shopping. And so what we're also seeing, given the market that we're in right now, the climate that we're in with COVID-19, lenders are a little bit more conservative, we'll say, and they're asking sometimes a little bit more down. They want to see a larger reserve. They want to see longer time with an employer. And so those are some of the constants that we're seeing right now amidst COVID-19. So just be prepared for higher standards, maybe a little bit tougher than you remember if you've already purchased a home, but certainly doable, and we're still getting those loans done.
I remembered I had the opportunity to actually attend one of Nicole's weekend meetings that kind of gave an update in reference to what was beginning to happen, especially here within the DFW market. But one of the things that Nicole did mention was in some cases, lenders are actually looking for buyers to have at least 6 months of income in reserve. And so when you mentioned the 6 months, are you saying that the lender is going to want to make sure that they at least the equivalent of 6 months worth of house payments or mortgage payments in reserve, or are they looking for actually the total amount that they would have been bringing in from their paychecks as 6 months in reserve?
Yeah, great question, Adina. It's really the 6 months worth of house payment, and that's a moving target right now. So I said that must have been maybe 3 weeks ago. Now they're kind of backing off on that a little bit in many lenders, and each lender's a little bit different. So we have the privilege of having been in the business this long, over 16 years in Texas, to work with a number of lenders that have different underwriting guidelines depending on their investors. So yeah, generally speaking, it's about 6 months worth of house payment reserve that they want to see in your 401k, your savings account, or where you have your money. And it must be in an account, in your under your mattress or in a jar or someplace like that. They really do want to see what's called seasoned funds, and those are ones that are in a bank account.
Okay. And then also for people who may be first-time home buyers, would you tell them a little bit about FHA, VA loans, conventional loans, and what those lending requirements may have for them, especially when it comes down to potential down payment amounts and anything else that they may need to be aware of when they get ready to buy?
Right. So there's so many great loan products out there for our consumers, from those who have saved up very little money to get into a home to those who have been very good stewards and they've got 20% down. It used to be that people thought, oh, to buy a home, I got to have 20% down, and that's not the case at all. There's some advantages to having 20% down, but it's not a requirement, absolutely, that you have 20% down to buy your home. So if you find yourself apartment lease coming up, apartment rates are going up, and you just can't see putting $1,600, $1,800, $2,000, $2,500 into someone else's pocket every month, and you figure home ownership can get you what you need, a place to stay, a nice place to stay for something equal to or even less than what you're paying in rent, not a lot of don't have 20% down, then an FHA loan product may be something that works for you. And Federal Housing Association loan products are insured loan products. That means the federal government, or there's an underwriting process that allows for insurance. When the lender gives you a loan, they have someone else backing you up, because the reality is you're only going to have to put down 3.5% of the purchase price of the home as a down payment. That's not a lot of skin in the game, as we say in the industry. So that means that your lien holder, that your lender's shouldering 96.5% of the risk for you. And if something happens to your income or otherwise incapacitates you to fulfill the requirements of that loan, the great thing about FHA is that there's a big brother behind that bank that's going to take care of you and bail out the situation. There's a cost for low entry into the market, and that's called mortgage insurance premium. You're going to pay a premium for the life of the loan on that product. Now, another product that allows you low to no money down are two products. There's the USDA loan product that allows you 100% financing. That means you come to the closing table with no money down. Now, we'll talk more about the financing piece in an individual conversation, but no down payment for a VA loan if you're a veteran and you qualify for veterans benefits, or a USDA loan. There's some restrictions to each one of them. USDA loans require you to purchase properties in an area or a region, geographic region, that meets the U.S. Department of Agricultural standards. A VA loan, of course, is only open to veterans who qualify for those loan products. So those are three major categories outside of a conventional loan that requires you 20% down or up to 20% down. And there's some flex there, even in conventional financing.
Okay, perfect. And then are there still available first-time homebuyer program, and would they be able to find out directly their realtor about those programs?
Oh, yes, Adina. There's so many great first-time homebuyer programs. The Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs offers first-time homebuyer products that can, if you, let's say, need help with your 3.5% down, they've got loans that will cover the 96.5% plus a soft second that will help you meet those down payment requirements. In addition to that, there are many grant programs through housing associations in various counties, Dallas County, Collin County, Tarrant, all those, that allow first-time homebuyers grant money, in some cases up to $15,000 toward the home purchase. And that $15,000 can be used for a combination of closing costs, which are different than your down payment. And just a quick primer, I don't want to take too much time on this one because it can be so confusing. There's so many terms, but they're closing costs and then they're down payments. Closing costs are your prepaids. You pay in advance for a year's worth of insurance premium at closing. You pay up to 3 to 6 months of your property taxes up front. And then there are other loan costs. Those are called your closing costs versus your down payment. So anyway, yes, we can get loans to help first-time homebuyers with that.
Well, that's really encouraging because I think a lot of times I have previously owned a home right now, but when I lived out of state, I did. And so I think a lot of times people sometimes can be a little bit disheartened because they're thinking, well, I have to have, all of this money automatically in reserve. Maybe I don't always have the best of credit scores. I may make it right to kind of the cutoff. Maybe I may be kind of at that 20. Credit score, and I'm thinking, well, maybe it may not be a possibility for me, but really the onus is back on you as the buyer to be able to ask as many questions. And there are no silly questions, because a lot of times if you're not asking the right questions, you won't get the best deal. Find out too about some of the other programs that could be available to you. Lots of first-time homebuyer education free courses are out there, as well as other types of programs that could be able to help you to prepare. And so sometimes when you think you're automatically ready to go, sometimes it just ends up being a weekend to be able to go and sit in on one of those homebuyer education courses. It really does net you a really great opportunity to be able to learn a little bit more in depth about what the home buyer process is. And then sometimes, depending upon the lender or also the community organizer, sometimes they have direct access to those specialized programs. So just for you sitting through and completing the program, you end up getting really a buyer's incentive, if you will.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. So a lot of people don't know about that. And so, Nicole, would you like to be able to speak a little bit? I know we really didn't have this completely fleshed out, but would you like to speak a little bit in reference to what's kind of going on right now in reference to the commercial market, and if people may be interested into buying commercial property, whether it ends up being apartment complexes, maybe it may end up being a strip shopping center, or even a smaller building that may house multiple other offices. Would you share some information with our audience about that?
Yes, and in that same vein, I'd like to talk a little bit about the residential market from a new construction side, because a lot of consumers also are interested in that product too. We're seeing very strong activity in commercial real estate, revamping as well. There was about 2 weeks ago, I attended a seminar on new construction starts, and they had slowed a bit naturally. You know, there were concerns about people coming into new commercial spaces for long-term leases, especially, and not being able to make those rents because everything had shut down, right? So we saw a great drop. So it's almost like a really good time to kind of come into commercial real estate. You might be able to find some great sales for leases, tenants, as well as purchases of commercial buildings. So it's a good time to kind of come into commercial to catch a few deals. But it is resurging. It is coming back because, you know, the economy is getting strong. The Dow is responding well to some of the pandemic, you know, stimulus packages that are out there. I also want to just kind of speak to residential real estate as well from a new construction side. A lot of people believe, oh, well, I'm going to get a new home. I don't need a realtor. I don't need any help. I can just go to the builder's on-site sales representative and you know, I'm going to go get a new home. You know, it's with any situation. Would you go into a courtroom and your you know, the opponent has his or her attorneys, team of attorneys even, representing them? Same concept with new construction. So you need an advocate on your side. And the great thing in most cases is of real estate is that when you're working with a buyer's agent, either on resale or new construction, you're not paying that buyer's agent. They're coming to you for free. Although they represent you in most cases exclusively, their fees or the cost of their services to you is being absorbed by the seller or the builder in new construction. So go get an advocate. Do not go unprepared to deal with the on-site sales representative and think that you're getting all that you're going to be able to get. So get yourself an advocate in that way too.
No, that's really good advice, because I think a lot of people walk in and they say, well, certainly there's nothing wrong with the home. Certainly everything is great. Everything looks good. You know, everything's looking great. But I know for myself, just in going through a lot of neighborhoods that are newly built, you know, there have been a lot of times where the foundation may have been laid, but the foundation was exposed to many, many rainy days, very, very elements. Sometimes the framing had been, you know, properly done, but then they don't continue to put up walls. They don't continue to do things timely, and so there are different things that are available to, you know, buyers, and they're just thinking, well, I'm just getting the best. Whereas if you have a more trained eye, and again, like you said, someone who is indeed an advocate that can work on your behalf, just because they list a price doesn't mean that you will pay that same price. And so that's the great thing about having an advocate who can be there to help you to negotiate.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely, Adina, you're
Absolutely.
right on. And what we're also seeing is a lot of incentives right now because the builders have they've struggled during this time, and they're not seeing the sales. So we've got a lot of great incentives that are available on the table right now as well.
Good. Well, that's really encouraging. So again, if you are indeed thinking about a new home, or if you are thinking about purchasing commercial real estate as well, you may want to just go ahead and take time to be able to educate yourself regarding that. Also, make sure that you are indeed reaching out to an experienced realtor who would be able to share some information with you. And also, again, they can be a wonderful advocate on your behalf. They can actually act on your behalf when you authorize them to do so. When you enter into an agreement with them, then they can actually speak on your behalf, especially when different things are happening. So if you have to work during specific hours, and perhaps the seller can only speak during business hours, but you can't, then again, your realtor can actually work on your behalf. Your realtor, your real estate broker can work on your behalf. And as long as you are staying in great communication and you're staying on the same page, then, you know, that is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful asset to be able to have. So please do not think that you have to do it 100% on your own. You will definitely end up losing out sometimes because you're aware of different things. So I would definitely highly, highly encourage you to be able to retain a realtor, a real estate broker on your behalf. Well, Nicole, let's say, so we're going to move now from just the buyer. So let's say that you're actually interested in selling your home. What tips can you provide to our audience that may help them to be able to actually increase the amount of how quickly that they could actually sell their home. Do you have any particular tips in reference to maintenance or anything else that would be able to help the overall sale to go through a little bit quicker?
Yeah, thank you so much, Adina, for asking that question. I think that one of the most important things that you want to remember as a seller of real estate, putting your home on the market for sale, is to trust your professional. And it's helpful to have maybe 3 professional opinions or estimates, whether we'll call them as estimates of what your home might command in the marketplace. Certainly, I know many sellers get very attached to what they've invested in their home, and they believe erroneously that dollar for dollar what they invested is going to be their return, and that's not always the case. So as a seller, the best thing you can do, very first of all, is to have a professional come into your home and do a 15 to 20-minute walkthrough of your house, and let that professional just get a sense of where your home is at ground zero. Okay, don't be afraid to let them in, and they're going to see the cat litter box and the shoes and the socks and all that. Don't have to worry about, tidying up so much, but just let that, because we're professionals. We've seen it all. It's like going to the doctor's office, we see it in its best case and we see them in the worst case. We're like that professional for you. We're on your team. No judgment. We're just here to help you. And so let us in, let us do a walkthrough, let us nitpick your home. Don't take it personally, because we're on your side and we know what the consumers, the buyers are looking for. So get somebody to come in and take a look at it, and then allow them to run an estimate of what they believe it's going to sell for, and abandon that idea of, well, so-and-so down the street's house sold for this or that or the other. Well, it's apples and oranges, because unless you have the exact same floor plan and the exact same finishes and the exact same lot, your house is different. And so we take all that into account, because the consumer definitely will. That's number 1. Number 2, listen to the estimate. And number 3, you've got to assess whether or not you have the resources to get that home market ready. There are certain upgrades that you can do. There's certain maintenance items that you can do to make your home sell for more in a shorter period of time. So that could mean, and it's not always the case, it could mean changing out your flooring. It could mean adding some paint, changing the paint, updating the paint. It could simply mean staining your fence, mowing your lawn, getting a deep professional clean of the home.
Yes.
So there are different degrees of what we might recommend based upon your neighborhood that you live in. And of course, how much you want to reinvest in the home and what makes sense in terms of timing. So trust a professional come in and make that assessment. We are trained to look at that. We are trained to even stage homes. Many of us are. Not everybody is trained to stage home, but we are trained to stage a home to make sure that it's professionally done. And then, of course, we have access to the best photographic technology. One of the greatest gifts that a licensed professional can give to you are professional photographs. Because what have you been doing during this pandemic? You've been sitting on your computer looking at houses. I know you have. You've been looking over and over at those houses, and you're looking over those homes that have those really engaging photographs. Well, that's what a professional can help you do. Make sure that not only your home is prepared, but bring in the right professional photography to give your home the best first impression of those among internet traffickers. So
that's really great advice, because I think a lot of times people, are thinking, oh no, what am I going to have to do? And sometimes it's just those minor tweaks that end up, helping. And again, sometimes when we are constantly in the same place, we overlook more things. And so sometimes it really is helpful to have someone else who has a fine eye, to be able to say, hey, it looks like you may have a crack or two over here. There may be something else, this could be an issue when it comes down to, a buyer looking at it, as well as when it comes time for the home appraiser or even the inspector to come. You may want to go ahead and address these, issues to make sure that there's no, no particular issues that hopefully you won't be surprised, if you will, when it comes time to go ahead and put the home on the market. And the buyer may come back and say, hey, I don't want to buy unless these particular issues are addressed.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Yes, absolutely. Great summary, Adina. And we just see so many sellers who believe that they're going to get a jump on, and they love decorating. They're going to get a jump on having the realtor in. They want the realtor to come in. The house is all done, and then they've got green paint or a shade of green that nobody but them really loves, or carpet that only they love. And so I would say reserve making those changes, those investments, until you have a professional come in, because we really do have an eye, and it is neighborhood specific. Not everything that you see on HGTV is going to flow in every neighborhood. So get somebody who knows
come on now.
And help you. What was that, Adina?
No, I was just saying, come on, Nicole, not HG. No, come on now. No, we know everything on HGTV is going to work. Come on now.
I'm sorry if I offended anybody who watches HGTV, but
just kidding.
So, yeah.
So really, one size does not fit all. Okay. And so when, for some of you who don't know what home staging is, a lot of times, whether the seller is actually inside the home and they've just made minor tweaks in reference to maybe as much furniture displayed, maybe not having as many wall and art pieces displayed, it's just enough furniture to be able to show the seller, hey, this is what your home could like. So literally you are almost consider it almost kind of like setting the stage for a theater performance, if you will.
Yes.
You're doing that actually for the home. So, again, if you've ever been inside of a model home, you can see there's just enough furniture. It's not super crowded. There's usually a lot of neutral colors. Sometimes there's warm colors. Sometimes there's cooler colors that may be in there that just kind of attract the buyer, as well as one of the things that I'd like for you to address, Nicole, on the importance of the scent of the home, if you don't mind.
Yes.
When they are actually in the home has been listed. Please tell our audience how important it is for your home to smell good, please.
Yes, Adina, thank you for inviting me to talk about that often overlooked element of a home. And people we don't have yet smell-o-vision over the internet. So people are falling in love with pictures. And of course, they have their expectations of what this home experience is going to be like when they walk in, only to find that it's, doesn't smell so fresh. Maybe, little puppy pet odor is leading the experience when they walk in the door, or the cat litter box is leading the experience. And that's not good. We lovingly joke in the industry that if a home is not well maintained and it has an offensive odor to consumers, it's going to get that level of pricing. I don't care how many upgrades you do. So make sure if you're not, the best homemaker, home cleaner, hire a professional. That is the best money. If you can't do paint, you can't do carpet, you can't do any of that other stuff, or flooring, vinyl, whatever you want to put on the floor, invest in a very thorough and deep cleaning of your home, because the smell of clean goes a long way. In this era of COVID-19 as well, we are taking extra precautions as a brokerage and even as an industry, so that as people are coming through your home, we are masking up. We are wearing gloves on our hands, and we're encouraging, in many cases, our sellers to even wrap their knobs and switch plate covers, so that adds an extra layer of safety for everyone involved. You don't want to go into a home as a buyer and start touching with your bare hands switch plate covers, because you don't know who else has touched those switch plate covers since the time that the homeowner may have cleaned it, before the showing. And of course, you don't want to be the homeowner that's still living there trying to market your home for sale. And then you've got all these different people, coming in your home in COVID-19. So those are all considerations: smell, sanitation, and safety, from a COVID-19 perspective. Until we get a cure or until we get a vaccine, we're being extra careful there too.
No, that's really perfect. This is just a fun question. Since I mentioned smell, are there any particular smells that tend to attract buyers more than anything else? What be one or two scents that tend to attract them?
Oh, yes. So those, Senate plugins, they're all very popular, and highly recommend them in moderation. Light, simple scents, nothing heavy, because, at the end of the day, some people just don't like scents. It's offensive to have these very nice, what we think are very nice floral and very aromatic scents moving through the home. So we like light, bright, simple. Talking about staging the home, not just scents, but your lighting has to be right. So we recommend when you come into a home that, yeah, you want to leave the lights up so people can see them. But man, just a little bit of mood lighting around your fireplace, in your kitchen, in your bed and bath area that sets a tone of calm is also very important. And then, of course, last but not least, when a homeowner enters, or potential homeowner enters your home, if you're selling your house, what they hear, what they smell, bread baking maybe, smell of fresh baked cookies, fire crackling, the sound of fireplace going and crackling, the sound of nice, easy music. Jazz is kind of popular and a nice way to go. It's an experience that we're creating when we stage a home. When you invite a professional in, we're going the whole 360 of what it means to live there. And we're also even thinking about COVID-19 special staging, because you've probably seen these on the internet. Can you see yourself living in this home? You've seen the memes. Can you see yourself being sheltered in place in this home? So some of the things that may be important for a shelter in place experience, we're using that in our staging today as well.
Oh, that's wonderful. And then we actually have a final question, which can you tell our audience about what have been some recent changes in reference to people going to the closing process since COVID-19? Mm-hmm. So for those, Nicole got into it a little bit earlier in reference to, the closing process is really one of the last steps before you officially become a homeowner. But there would be a little bit of a process where both the buyer and the seller, or the seller's agent, would come to the table. They would go ahead and sign off on different agreements and whatnot. And typically there would be an exchange of keys.
And you've frozen for me, Adina. I'm not sure if you're still talking. But for whatever reason, it's frozen. I'm gonna
during
Adina, I don't know if you're still there or not. For some reason, my screen is frozen for you, but I will take that question. I don't know if the audience is still able to hear. But in terms of closing, closing is, as Adina says, the last step in the home buying process. It is where the buyers and sellers, and not together in the same place in most cases, meet up traditionally at what's called a title company, and an escrow officer, one who sort of manages, if you will, an account, like a bank account, for the transaction. When the transaction's over, that account disappears in most cases, but it handles all of the money. The escrow officer at the title company handles all the money for that transaction. I don't know if I lost Adina or not, but they handle the transaction for that money, and they also handle the paperwork. So there are documents that both buyer and seller must sign in order to effect the actual purchase or sell of a home. And so we go to this location called a title company historically. We still do that in many cases. But what is different for most title companies now is that instead of going into the building for the safety of the buyers and the sellers, as well as the staff at those title companies are coming to your car, and they're doing a closing on premise, on site, but from the comfort of your car and the safety of your car. So they'll bring the paperwork out to you. You'll get a chance in advance of the closing to read through all of the documents, ask any questions that you like, and then just sign from your car. There are other title companies, and we have other title partners, who you never have to show up. You can close from the cozy, fuzzy slippers of your bedroom, of your dining room, kitchen table, from your home office or your actual work office, if you like. You never have to set foot onto the property of the title company. So that's electronic closings that are available as an option. So those are two things. And once you close, that is, sign all the paperwork at that transaction, you're still not quite the homeowner until the lender releases the funds to the title company. Then keys can be exchanged, and now either for you, the buyer, you're the new owner, or if you're the seller, you've sold your home. So I am not sure if our host is still here, or even if our audience is still here. If you want to reach me directly, feel free to call our offices at 214-418-7973, or visit us on Facebook. We're the Williams Agency, DFW Real Estate Trends, and enjoy all of the content that we have out there. Or you can visit our website, www.williams-agency.com. We're always here for you. We pride ourselves on our ability to listen well and to educate you, to not rush you, but to follow your pace, whether it's aggressive or more gentle. We are here to help, and we take it as a privilege and an honor to allow you a privilege and honor for you to allow us to come into your place, your family, your process to purchase your new home. So we thank you so much. We also have loyalty programs that we offer to our consumers who buy and sell with us, or who even buy and sell multiple times with us in the future. So we just love our client family, and we hope that you will be joining us as part of that client family soon. Thank you a lot, Adina and LaQuita, for having me on your show today. Thank you, audience, for being with us. And I'm so sorry that we've lost Adina. I don't know where she is. So I'm going to close out the show. Thank you, and have a blessed day. Bye-bye.